Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lesser Known But Awesome Heroes Avengers Edition. And yes, guys, I know what you're thinking. No, this is not Captain America, despite the outfit. No, the character you're looking at here is none other than Mr. John F. Walker. And for those of you that don't know this character, he is known simply as the U.S. Agent. And this guy, a lot of people consider him a Captain America knockoff. But really, in all honesty, Walker is anything but a Captain America knockoff. His powers aren't really derived from the super soldier serum. His powers are actually due to a they're due to a genetic augmentation experiment that was done on him by Dr. I want to say Malice, I think Malus, or maybe it's Lius. His first appearance was in Captain America Volume 1, Issue 323 in November of 1986, and he was created by Mark Grenwald and Paul Neary. And he was also part of the Mighty Avengers, Omega Flight, New Invaders, Stars, The Jury, Forceworks, Secret Defenders, West Coast Avengers, Commission of Superhero Activities, and the Bold Urban Commandos. And at one time he was Captain America after Steve Rogers abandoned, the government and everything and just became known as the Captain. And he has super strength and stamina, peak human agility, reflexes, and durability. Now let me go through my information here. Yes, an experimental mutagenic augmentation process. Yes, it's MALUS for Dr. Carl. And this was on behalf of a character known as the Power Broker. And on top of actually all of this, he was taught most of his skills by the Taskmaster. And he's also a former soldier with, combat experience in conventional arms and special operations and tactics. Growing up in the fictional town of Custer's Grove, Georgia, he would actually be inspired by his brother Mike, who was a helicopter pilot that died in the Vietnam War. To honor his memory, Walker would actually become a soldier. After being honorably discharged from the U.S. Army, he would eventually gain superpowers through an acquaintance of the Power Broker. The Power Broker would try to make Walker an enforcer. However, Walker would eventually turn his back on the Power Broker and actually become a hero. And then eventually the government would issue him as the new Captain America. And he and Steve Rogers would go back and forth battling each other until eventually, he won back the title of Captain America, and Walker pretty much was shamed. However, this would not be the last that Walker would be seen, as Walker would eventually resurface as the U.S. Agent. And he would adorn the same fighting style, the same shield style, guys. His fighting style is very similar to Cap's in every way, shape, or form, and that's the way Taskmaster had taught him. And what you're seeing here is the original outfit that he had for quite a while until, I want to say, the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. Which you'll see coming up here in, say, another couple of, half a minute or so, where it was more based on a riot police uniform, and it was more with the first picture that you saw, where it's more like an eagle emblazoned on his shield. He also had a wrist laser shooter. He had almost something similar to the energy shield thing that we've seen on Earth's Mightiest Heroes that Skrull Cap has been using. Yeah, Paul Walker had quite a few gadgets, needless to say, at his... there I go again, I keep calling him Paul Walker. It's John Walker. I don't know why I don't know why I keep confusing John with Paul for some reason. But yeah, Walker's got quite a few tools at his disposal. He was actually one of the first people that Tony Stark asked to join the West Coast Avengers. Although he rejected at first, but then later on, actually, you know what, guys? I'm actually let me go to this just to make sure that I'm not screwing this up. Let me go to this. I just want to make sure that I'm not doing this. Yeah, he was placed as a watchdog for the West Coast Avengers and the Vision by the Commission as a condition of possibly getting their government clearance reinstated. Yeah, so basically, John Walker, John Walker pretty much was a government liaison. And unlike Steve Rogers, John Walker, there we go, finally said it right for once in this video, is actually, he works for the government. He works as pretty much like their special ops type person. While he still has some ties and affiliations with the government, he would work for Omega Flight, which was a secondary version of Alpha Flight, which featured Julie Carpenter, also known as Julie Carpenter, who was, during the time of the West Coast Avengers, Spider-Woman, but now goes by the name Arachne, and none other than Old Horseface himself, yes, Beta Ray Bill, were among his teammates, as well as Sasquatch. And Walker also eventually would go up against the supervillain Nuke, and tragedy would strike when Nuke would basically completely cripple Walker by basically severing an arm and a leg. And because he was given low-tech prosthetics, Walker was forced to relinquish and retire his U.S. agent persona, and now works, if I remember according to the Mount Vernon kid correctly, is now the warden of the Vault, where Luke Cage's Thunderbolts and whatnot are being held. But make no mistake, despite having a prosthetic leg and a prosthetic arm, John Walker is still no pushover. He can still fight and defend himself. But I urge you guys to wiki this guy. He is not a Captain America wannabe. John Walker, West Coast Avenger, government-based Captain America, if you will. But still, very awesome. Yeah, there we go. John Walker, very awesome character in his own right. Sadly, he's fallen into obscurity because a lot of people think that he's a Captain America knockoff. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, guys, this and Dr. Druid are the last two on my list of Avengers characters that I wanted to talk about. But I got a little proposition. If you guys show some love for the previous Avengers Edition videos as well as this one, and Dr. Druid included, I might do 2 more, guys. Maybe.